What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You guys can see here, I got my tractor behind me. We're going to be removing the cab today. I removed the loader already to get that out of the way. I also took off the mid-mount mower deck that I had on there because I did already mow once this season. Grass is getting pretty long, so I had to get that done. But we're going to end up pulling this cab off today. So we'll find out just how difficult that's going to be. Doesn't look like a very hard task at all. So the first step we're going to end up doing here is pulling off the cab doors. Once we get the cab doors out of the way, there are 4 corner mounts basically on this cab. There's going to be one mount in the back here, one on each side. This connects to the bottom of the ROPS here. So we got 2 bolts here, or 2 nuts, and then we got 2 nuts on the other side. So that'll take care of the back 2 lower cab mounts. And after that, we do have 2 front lower mounts. They're going to be underneath this floorboard here. And there's going to be a nut and bolt under here that we just remove, and that'll take care of these lower mounts here. And then the last thing that we have to do is we have a couple upper mounts, I believe. So we just got to remove these, and this is more like a C-clamp. So it's got one long threaded bolt all the way through it here. So we'll just be taking that nut off there and sliding out that bolt, and this C-clamp should slide right off of the ROPS. So that should be about it. What I want to do is hopefully keep together all of the vinyl that I can. That way I can keep this cab together as much as I can. So that'll make it a lot easier for next fall when I go to put this cab back on. We are going to have to remove some Velcro though. There is a couple clips underneath here, which I'll show you guys when we get to there. But there's a couple springs that hold this vinyl in. You can see there's a little spring down there. So we'll be pulling them springs off, and that'll get that vinyl pulled up. And it should allow us to access everything we need to. And this thing should lift off straight up. Like I said, there might be a couple other spots that I have to unvelcro. There is a Velcro strap coming around the back of the ROPS, which you can see right there. So I'm going to have to remove that. So there's going to be a couple little things here and there that I'm going to have to unvelcro, but I think I can keep the majority of the vinyl on the cab. And like I said, that's just going to make it so much easier come next fall when I go to install this thing. I've seen a couple guys remove these cabs. Tractor Time with Tim just removed his, and I believe he takes the back vinyl off his. So this back piece here, and I believe he takes the front piece off as well. That would be this piece right here. So I think he removes that too, but that's obviously a different tractor, so I'm hoping that I don't have to. And by the looks of it, I don't think I'm going to have to. So hopefully this is a fairly easy job to remove this cab. I want to get it out of the way because I have some jobs coming up here. And I obviously can't transport this down the road the way it is. And that's the biggest hurdle with these cabs. You're not supposed to have these cabs on a trailer with more than like a 30-mile-an-hour wind going across them, because it could ruin the vinyl or pull the vinyl off. So what you have to do if you do want to leave the cab on is you pretty much got to remove the doors, and you got to remove all the vinyl every time you want to trailer it. And for me, that would mean throughout the entire summer, every single job I do, I'm putting it on and taking it off, putting it on and taking it off. Now, I could just remove all the vinyl itself and just basically leave in the window and the top, kind of use it like a sunshade. But if I'm going to be doing that, I might as well just rip the whole cab off, get it out of my way completely, because I really don't need it in the summertime. Shouldn't be a big deal for me. As you guys know, I did just put these screen doors on. I think I've had them on now maybe 3 weeks or something like that. And I was hoping to have these screen doors on a little bit longer than that so that I could use them a little bit more. Like I said, I didn't realize these side jobs are going to come up this quickly this spring. And I thought I was going to have at least like a month to be able to use these screen doors. But that being said, they are a great accessory to put on in the springtime. And next year, maybe I'll put them on a little bit sooner. That way I get a little bit more use out of them before my side jobs start. So you guys will see them again, and I will be using them more in the future. As I said earlier, I did remove my front end loader. I removed my belly mower. Just something I wanted to do so I had a little bit more room getting around the tractor. And so that when I took off these lower pieces here, or them springs that I was explaining to you guys, I'm not having to work between the loader frame and everything to get those. Just makes it a little bit easier, gives you a little bit more space to work on it, and it also gives you a little bit more space for installing it as well. Because if you guys remember, when I did the install video, I actually had my loader off as well for that. And I'll put a little link in the description right here if you guys want to see that video of me installing this cab. It's pretty much all I wanted to say for now. I'll show you guys what my first step's going to be in a little bit here. I'm waiting for my buddy Matt to get here, and as soon as he gets here, he's going to help me out because I'm definitely going to need a hand once we get everything unbolted. I'm hoping just to lift this thing straight up and off, and then I'll put it out back in my storage shed, throw a tarp over it, and it should be good for next season. So I'll get back with you guys as soon as we get going on the cab removal. Alright guys, so I got my buddy Matt here. So the first thing we're going to do here is remove these doors, which you guys have seen me do before. Just pull the pins out of the hinges and get the doors out of the way. So I'm going to do that first, and then we'll go to the next step. Just lift it up out of the hinges and get it out of the way. Got it? He said, come come off nice and easy. Alright, so now that we got the doors up out of the way, you guys got a little bit more light in here and can see what's going on. So the first thing we're going to start with is removing the front lower cab mounts. So you can see that these get bolted to the bottom of the floor here. So there's two nuts and bolts that go through basically where the little push clips for your mat go through the floor. So we're just going to loosen them up. So I'm going to do these two here, and we're going to do those two on the other side, and that'll loosen up this bottom post here. I got an 11/16 wrench and 11/16 socket. Go ahead and crack these loose. Okay, so there's one. Now that whole bottom pillar here, that's nice and loose. So now we're going to go ahead and go to the other side, and we're going to get the same thing done there. Alright, so now we're over on the right side of the tractor. See, we're going to do the same thing. Fold this floor back here, and you can see the two bolts that we got to remove. Alright, I got these two bolts loose, and they don't want to come out right now because the rest of the bolts are still tight. So we're going to go ahead and leave these in there until we get the rest of them loose. Then these bolts should come right out. Alright, so now we got the two bottom posts disconnected. Now we're going to come up here to the top of the ROPS, and we're going to disconnect these two. So as I explained earlier, this is just like a C-clamp with a bolt going through it. So I'm just going to take this nut off real quick, and I'll be able to slide this bolt out. And this C-clamp should be able to slide right off the ROPS. Alright, now we can just slide this bolt right out of the way, and the bracket comes right off. Okay, now I got you guys over at the other side. Go ahead and get this one done. And pull the bracket out of the way. Alright, now that we got the two top mounts off and the two bottom front mounts off, you guys can see this whole cab is now loose, so that's good. So now what we're going to be doing is working on, I believe, what is the last two mounts of the cab, which are these two lower mounts here. They're just 2 3/4 nuts, I believe, that mount to the bottom of the ROP. So before we remove those, we need to remove the Velcro. So we'll be pulling that Velcro up and out of the way, and then we will remove these two bolts here. And then the cab should be almost ready to lift off. Before we do that, we'll have to still remove those two springs I talked to you guys about in the beginning for the vinyl on the front half here, and then we just have the power going to my battery, and then I think we're pretty much good to go to lift this cab off. So let's get going on this next step here, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this piece of Velcro strapping. So that just Velcros right over here. Peel that off, and as you can see, it just goes right around the ROPS here. I'm going to do that on the other side as well, and then we're going to go ahead and grab a 3/4 socket and remove these two bolts. Alright, so now we got the Velcro pulled off of each side. We can go ahead and pull this vinyl back, which reveals the two bolts there that go to the ROPS mount. So we're going to go ahead and take them off. Those are a 19mm or 3/4. Got them nice and loose now. Original tractor cab says that this thing can be removed in about 15 to 20 minutes, and so far that's seeming about right. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing this other side here. And I believe this other one on the front right of the tractor right here, you're going to have to use a 3/4 inch wrench because you're not able to get a socket on there. Okay, so I got a 19mm ratchet wrench. Okay, now you can see this cab mount here is totally loose. So now this whole entire cab should be ready to lift right off. So now what we need to do is, before I forget, remove the springs off of the front vinyl here. So there's your windshield. Coming down here to the front vinyl, there is a spring on either side that basically holds this vinyl nice and tight to the floorboard. and it gets sucked underneath the floorboard and hooked. So I need to unhook that spring and let it relax so I can pull this vinyl up, so that when we pull this cab up and off, the vinyl will come with it, hopefully. You can see that spring right there. That spring comes under the floorboard, as you see right there, and it just gets clipped on the little hole in the floorboard there. So I basically just got to remove that spring, let it come back up, and that'll allow this vinyl to come right up and get pulled up with the cab. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab onto this with some needle nose here. Pull it off the floor, and we should be able to just take the bottom of this vinyl here. As you can see, that pulls right up nice and loose now. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. All right, now I'm on the right side of the tractor here. This one was a little bit tighter if I remember correctly. There we go. All right, so now we got that one disconnected. Go ahead and this vinyl pulled up here, just like that. All right, so now I think the only thing left here is to remove the wiring from my cab or unplug it. So I got all my wiring for my switches, which is up here. So all this wiring goes down, and I purposely put it into like one little pigtail so that I could just unplug one plug. Okay, so that pigtail, I have it behind here, and this is my main power lead right here, and this comes out of my radiator compartment or my screen here, and that's where the battery's at. So I got my power and ground coming from that. So I'll go ahead and unplug that, and that is the entire power for my cab. The only thing left now is to remove the heater, and that is just on there with a couple of zip ties that I have zip tied to the main frame post here. So if I go ahead and peel this vinyl back, you guys can see that here are the mounts. All I have is just a zip tie here, and then down here I got one more zip tie. So I'm just going to cut these two zip ties here, and I'll be able to drop this heater down. I'm just going to lay it on the floor for right now because I do have these coolant hoses going to it. What I'm going to do is just take these coolant hoses off. I'm going to cap them, and then I'm going to zip tie them up underneath the floor. And then that way for next winter, when I get ready to put this all back together, all I got to do is pull the plugs out of the coolant hoses, stick them back on the heater, and then zip tie the heater back to the frame. So that's nice and simple. Someday I do want to get some quick disconnects where I can just have some couplers here that I can disconnect it. But those things are like 50 bucks a piece, and I didn't want to spend the money this year. All right, let's go ahead and get this heater cut out of the way so we can get this cab lifted off. Okay, so I got a pair of side cutters. Let's go ahead and cut these zip ties. There's one. Here's two. So I'm just going to go ahead and set this down on the floor, and I think we'll be all set to lift this cab up out of the way. All right, so as you can see, I got my heater laying here on the floor. Like I said, I'm just going to cap these two lines here, wrap it up underneath the floor, and zip tie it. That'll get this entire heater out of my way for the summertime. You can see my one plug here for my main power for everything. As far as the cab goes, I think we're all set now. You can see how loose the cab is. I lift it up on each corner. It feels like it's free. We got the front vinyl here off on each front corner, and we got the back corners off. So I think we can lift this thing right off, and I'm actually really happy if it does come off, because that means I was able to leave everything else in place. I was able to leave my roof in place, my windshield wiper motor, all my switches, my switch panel, my mirrors, all the vinyl. So this is going to be really easy to put back on come fall. So I'm really happy about that. Now we're just going to lift up this cab, and we're going to walk it up to the front of the tractor and set it down. Now we're just going to end up pulling the tractor out of here, and then I'll end up moving the cab out back to my storage shed for the summer season. So I'm going to go ahead and set the camera down now, and we'll see if we can lift this thing off. Alright, so we're going to lift the cab off now. I just pretty much tilted the seat forward. That way I don't get hung up on anything, and if we do, we can see what we're getting hung up on. We should be able to lift this thing straight up and out now. As long as we don't have any snags or anything, we should be all set. So go ahead and lift up all four posts here and see what happens. Good. It came off a lot easier than I thought it was going to, be honest. It's light. Alright, should be good. Yeah, that wasn't bad. Alright guys, the cab's off, so I'm really stoked about that. I'm going to tilt this back. It's been a long time since I've seen my tractor without the cab on it, so it's really nice to see it without the cab on again. Definitely going to help me to work more efficiently when I'm on these side jobs as well. Just being able to hop in and out of it quickly, because when you're doing side work, especially landscaping and stuff, you're usually on and off the tractor multiple times, and every time you got to open a door, it just kind of slows you down. You know, if I was just doing work around my property and whatnot, I wouldn't really care, but when I'm doing side jobs and stuff, I want to be as fast and efficient as possible, and it's just a little bit better for me not to have the thing in my way. The other thing is I do a lot of land clearing, and I'm always afraid that I'm going to get like a branch or something hung up on one of the mirrors or break off my light. You know, I really don't want to destroy this cab because I really like it, and it did a really good job for me in the wintertime, and I want to keep it that way. Like I said, it's just not needed for me for the type of work that I'm doing for land clearing and landscaping jobs, traveling my tractor up and down the road all the time. Just not worth it to have it on for the summertime for me, but like I said, for you guys it might be different. So at least if you guys do want to remove the cab now, you know how to take it off. Me and Matt are gonna go ahead and put this thing out back. We're gonna carry it out to my storage shed. I'm gonna put it down there, and I'm probably just gonna throw a tarp on it. Should be all set there until next fall when I bring it back out again. So I hope this video helped you guys out. For those of you who are removing your cab for the summertime, like I said, it really wasn't too bad. One thing we do have to do is reinstall our lock washer and nut for our ROPS, so that's just gonna slide back on there, and I just gotta tighten them back down. But aside from that, that's pretty much it. So the next video you guys see will be cabless, and I hope to get out in my backyard because I have a new implement that I want to show you guys that I know you're really going to like. So expect to see that video soon, coming up this week, and I'll see you guys then. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully it was helpful, like I said, and as always, guys, we'll see you in the next one.